I wanted to share a quick story that makes you feel like you are not alone. Before I sign a client up, I have a consultation and I write a lot of notes down about their life that they tell me, what their pains are and what's going on, what's going wrong. 'Cause I know for me, I felt alone for a long, long time because of my ADHD. I felt like I was the only one struggling. So I thought it might be really valuable for you to hear someone else's story. And then I'll tell you what they rated on a scale of 1 to 10 of how bad their pain was in the beginning and how much it was at the end of our coaching sessions, just so you can hear you're not alone. I'm not going to share their name. I'm going to call her Lily. I'm just reading the notes here. She was diagnosed in 2020. A lot of women, by the way, don't find out until they're in their at least 30s. So you might relate to that. She came from an immigrant family, so it wasn't okay to be diagnosed. And that really almost made me tear up right on the spot. I've heard that a lot with clients from other countries. You're not really allowed to have ADHD. It's weird to say that because you can't control it, but it was very hard for her. She's a nurse for gynecology and she worked at Stanford. Very intelligent person, extremely hardworking, very loving, sweet, fun, upbeat personality. You talk to her and I can immediately tell she's hiding something. She took Vyvanse for a year and she gave it up because it wasn't really for her, but she didn't know what other solutions to go to. This woman took care of her parents while she would work overtime every single day. And then she'd take her work with her home. And I had to train her so much on this so that she could know that she needs boundaries. She deserves boundaries. And one thing I found too, I kind of look for patterns when I coach people because usually there's at least one pattern that is really stopping you from growing and managing your ADHD, living your best life, unlocking that potential. And this is what I found really helped. She would not say no. She didn't have set boundaries that were really clear. When she'd go out with her friends to eat, she would pay for them and she wouldn't ask for her money back because she felt like it was a burden. She felt like a bad person to ask for her money back. After the first couple sessions, I had to tell her, hey, I think you give your value away and you don't see the value you actually have. And she said, that's so true. I do it in so many areas of my life. And I told her that how you do anything is how you do everything. And it just hit her like a ton of bricks. She realized, oh my gosh, you're right. I give money away and I don't ask for it back. When I go to work, they overwork me. There's all of these issues. When I go home, I give away my time and I don't think about it. And I work after work until really late and then I don't get to exercise. That was a huge eye opener for her. She said that she doesn't mind medication, but her habits are poor. She was at the point where she really noticed that it was costing her a lot of money, not getting things done on time. A lot of times people will come to me and set up a consultation after years of struggling, thinking that they can just solve the problem on their own, up until they get to the point where they realize, I can't do this on my own. I need help. Whether it's a therapist, a coach, a mentor, someone who can teach me what to do because I'm wasting time, I'm wasting money, I'm wasting energy, and she was wasting so much of it. So the very first thing we did on a session was we got her money back from her friends in a polite way that made her feel empowered and confident in herself. She said it was the everyday life stuff that's hard to manage. She wants a raise at work, wants to pay off debt, and advocate for herself. We got to do all of that, except the raise at work, because these people were very hard on her, just not kind to her. So we basically came up with a plan to say in the future, hey, this is how we're going to get you to a new job. Let's set you up for that when you're ready to move forward. We got the majority of her money back from her friends in this few weeks we worked together, which helped her pay off her debt. She said her financial choices are hindered because she struggles at work or doesn't go to the job where she can make more and not waste on late fees and subscriptions she doesn't cancel, and it affects her financial future. So we set up systems for that as well, which in turn ended up saving her a lot of money she didn't realize she was spending. I know for me, I do the same thing. I downloaded Rocket Money. I would highly suggest it. I'm not endorsing them. I don't get anything out of it. It's amazing. You don't know what you're paying right now. I think I've saved like $200-300 a month just from downloading the free version. So highly suggest it. She said she had no savings and yet she still wanted to work with me. She wanted to hire someone, even though she didn't have any money and she was in debt. But after we worked together, she ended up making more money and stopping the entire process that was costing her money. She said she didn't even know where to start. She said, how do I even financially move forward? beginning, before we did all this, before we confronted all these issues. She took social media off her phone, but transferred that energy to her Slack for work and checking emails. The energy was still there, but still didn't address her email because of overwhelm. So even though she had the right mindset and she was trying, she was still struggling. Boy, have I been there. This was a good one. She said that she had been living a self-fulfilling prophecy. That hits. Oh my gosh. Like, you say something's going to happen, like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, this will happen. And then you end up living it because you said it, because your habits are fueling your actions and they're fueling your results. And it goes over and over and over. And if you're living with bad habits, you're going to get bad results. And it's just going to keep fueling. And if you don't know what your habits even are, you don't know how to get out of them, you're going to stay stuck. She says she finishes her work at the end of the day, but at what cost? I got chills. She said she's losing quality of life because she would get things done and stay up late. Dude, I'm so sorry. This is my life. This was my life so bad. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, even now, I still struggle with it. And here's a big thing people don't realize. It's a learning process. But what has really helped was realizing, just accepting that that's part of the process of growth. You have to struggle first. Otherwise, you don't know what the obstacles are. You can't get past them. It's a good thing if you're struggling. That's fine. It's telling you something is wrong and needs to be changed. Don't be upset if something is going wrong. But really, if you're not making the right moves to get out of it, then that's where it gets bad, where you keep going wrong. You keep feeding it. She said she was in a constant state of having to try to finish new tasks, but there's a never-ending scramble. She forgot to finish or tackle things until the last minute. I know for me, a lot of times I didn't forget, I knew. Sometimes I did forget though. But that's because of a lack of systems, not because there's something wrong with you. Our brain works in a different way. We have a cutoff of very important neurotransmitters. So when we forget things, it's not our fault. It's literally how we're made. She said it costs her more money to put things off. And yes, that is very true from my experience. If you put off things, it's going to come at a cost. For example, plug, she's lost more money because she didn't get a financial coach, or she didn't get an ADHD coach. She didn't get a career coach, people to help her get her out of her problem. She said she lost out on having been able to get money back because of procrastinating on how to get it done. A lot of times we procrastinate not because we want to, but because I'm gonna make a video on just that. There's so many reasons. I have a video coming up about like the 9 reasons we procrastinate, but it's because she was very overwhelmed. Another one was because she didn't know what to do. You know, it's intimidating. I know for me, all I want are the right answers, and I would go all out. It's hard to progress on something if you just doubt yourself, you know, and you don't know what to do. So she said she drained so much money over the years from struggling to manage her ADHD and cancel accounts and subscriptions and all the other things she struggled with. She graduated from Columbia College. She wanted to pay her student debt. She wanted to tackle the spending habits that were draining her. She said she uses Rocket Money. She did that to track finances and see how she's draining herself. And now she sees in credit card debt how easy it is not to realize what she's spending on because there's no clear visual consequences. So true. She said she had endless lists that she didn't finish because she was overwhelmed. Let me just say something on that. I gotta make like 10 videos on this. Let me just say this. To-do lists are not meant to be finished all the time. Some are, like a grocery list. But a lot of times when we make a to-do list, we mix in other lists and we have no idea. And then we don't finish and we guilt trip ourselves, right? And if we do finish, we feel like whatever, we're supposed to. That's not a nice tone to give to someone. Like, you know, if you have a kid, you praise them when they do something great. You wouldn't say, wow, you're supposed to do this art in class. Like, yeah, what do you want me to say? Good job? That's not cool. So if we wouldn't do it to a kid, why would we do it to ourselves? Watch what happens if you follow that rule. Just watch. Watch what happens. I'm telling you. She said she needed structure. Her life was chaotic. She didn't have a schedule or idea of the specific things she needed to take on and things she puts off. Her health was suffering because she worked so much and never made time. Now, you feel you have a sense to overcompensate when you overwork yourself, but you don't get anywhere. Even though you're exhausted, you still overwork yourself because it's not enough. That's what it feels like. So she said it even affected her health. Her health was suffering because she works so much. Remember, she works hours after working 12-hour days and never made time to stay up to date for her own health, workout, mental health. And as a nurse, this was a big line. She didn't help her own health in the way she would help her patient's health. I don't know about you, but I have been there. As a coach, even, I give a lot of people advice that I've seen work wonders, and I don't take my own advice all the time. It's frustrating. It almost feels different to take your own advice. It doesn't feel the same. Like, I don't even acknowledge it sometimes. She said she didn't sleep enough. What else is new for ADHDers? Oh my gosh. That's a tough one, to get past. That's my biggest issue currently. It has been forever. It's hard. I don't teach people to be perfect. If anyone offers to teach you to be perfect, don't hire them. That's not realistic. You can't have a perfect everything. But what you can do is get systems that increase the odds of success, and you keep improving it over and over and over, because that's how life works. Problems will always be present. So you have to be adaptable, resilient, smart, strategic, intentional. That's what I train people to do. And that's what made the big difference for her. And I'm going to reveal to you at the end the metrics she gave me of how she felt after we applied all these things, so you can know there is hope. She had information overwhelm. She didn't have time for herself or time in her relationship because she just kept giving her value away. She couldn't, this was the majority of my life. She couldn't stand the feeling of being disliked or disappointing others. That's a hard one, especially when you give your value away too much. It's like that is where the value lies so much. You feel this craving for it. But that's happening because you don't see how much value you already have. So you feel like you have to go out and get it elsewhere. She said she loved mini reminders for things. So we set up a system in the calendar. She does well with alarms and notifications. And I'll say that a lot of people are going to do well with that, but some people don't. Some people just see it as digital noise and it doesn't really help. And I'll make some videos on that in the future of how to get around that. We got her accountability buddies and we set her up with a whole bunch of systems just to help her with all of these problems. And what's great about systems is you just set it up once and then you don't have to rely on motivation anymore. And that's a huge part of what got her to progress. So many times people set up goals, but they don't set up systems. I can tell you, hey, I want to go get tacos somewhere, but I have no idea where it is. How do I get there? And you give me a GPS, and the GPS just basically says it's somewhere out there. Well, that's not going to help. I need directions. Like, help me out. That's what happens when we set goals without a system. And that's why systems are so important, because you're guaranteed to get to your goal if you have the proper system. Okay, so here is one of my favorite parts. This is cool. Every time I sign up a client, in the very beginning, I have them rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how bad their pain is in each area of executive functioning. And there's 5 that I have listed. So we'll go through it right now. I'm going to tell you what she had in the beginning and what she had after our sessions, so you can know if you relate to all of anything in here, that there is hope for you. Procrastination was at level 10. She put a level 10. I mean, she was struggling bad. She put off everything. Emotional regulation, 10. Focus, 10. Time management, 10. And organization, 10. I'd asked multiple times, are you sure it's a 10? Are you sure it's not a 9 and 8? No, 10. And she'd explain why. She'd spent like 5 minutes on each answer why it was a 10. So we knew it was legit. What happened after coaching? So this is the part I'm excited to tell you, because this proves that there are systems for you. If you feel hopeless, this should help you see a new point of view that will change your life. Procrastination, 2. Emotional regulation, 3. Focus, 3. Time management, 2. And organization, 3. This is how much she improved. So we coached for 10 sessions. Imagine 10 days. In 10 days, you increase this much. So if you feel there's no hope for you, you're struggling and you're just wondering, how am I going to get out of this? I genuinely hope this video brought you some hope, because I wish I had that. It was so hard for me to have hope for so long. And like, it makes me just emotional because I didn't have anybody telling me that there was hope. And that all I needed were strategies, and that I wasn't the problem, that I wasn't lazy. We train ourselves to just guilt trip ourselves immediately because it feels like the right thing to do because we feel wrong. But in reality, you're not wrong. You are being wronged. You have convinced yourself to believe a lie that you are not someone who can change and grow and thrive. I can't imagine how much more she's going to increase her odds of success by, I don't know, a year from now. 10 years from now, and not to mention how much money she's going to make now and how much money she's not going to give away. So that was really helpful for me, even. Like, I learned something on every call. So like and subscribe to this video if you found it valuable, and I'd really love to hear your story in the comments below. Click the link in the description below if you want to schedule a free consultation. You and I will hop on a call, we'll map out a plan, I'll show you this is where you're going wrong, this is what I suggest doing. I have a bunch of free productivity downloads as well. Just click the link at the bottom, you can see my site. From your friendly neighborhood ADHD coach with ADHD. Later, neighbors.